Good morning. Welcome to Tribune News on Q, your go-to morning news source, only here at the Daily Tribune. We're live on Daily Tribune's Facebook page, Daily Tribune PH on YouTube, and a Daily Tribune Official on TikTok. For today's headlines. The DFA on Wednesday warned that China's moves declaring Kalayaan Palawan officials persona non grata could strain long-standing diplomatic relations between Beijing and Manila. 200 days after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s "Mahiya naman kayo" rebuke over anomalous flood control projects, no major official or contractor has been convicted. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives on Wednesday filed a resolution seeking a probe into the alleged Philippine-based operations and connections of the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Human rights groups and religious leaders on Wednesday announced protests and summits marking the 40th anniversary of the EDSA People Power Revolution, linking the 1986 uprising to present-day anti-corruption efforts. The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee will not recommend a preliminary probe of later Representative Martin Romualdez in its revised flood control report, opting to gather more evidence against President Marcos Jr.'s cousin. Pag-ibig Fund members saved a record of 160.41 billion pesos in 2025, up 21% from the previous year and the highest in the agency's history. U.S. singer Britney Spears has become the latest musician to sell the rights to her catalog that includes hits like Baby One More Time and Oops, I Did It Again, U.S. media reported Tuesday. Alex Ayala's Women's Tennis Association ranking is expected to take a dip following her early exit in the Qatar Open last Monday. Today is the 12th of February 2026, Thursday, and I'm Eliana Lacap, bringing you today's top stories. Let's kick things off with today's weather. The shear line brings cloudy skies with scattered rains over eastern and southern Luzon and Visayas, while the easterlies affect parts of Mindanao. The northeast monsoon impacts the rest of Luzon. Bicol, Western Visayas, Quezon, Oriental Mindoro, Marinduque, Romblon, Negros Occidental, Northern Samar, Eastern Samar, Samar Biliran, and Leyte may experience moderate to heavy rains, raising risks of flash floods and landslides. Meanwhile, Caraga, Davao Region, and Southern Leyte face similar conditions. Elsewhere, light to moderate rains and isolated thunderstorms are expected, with moderate to strong winds in northern and eastern Luzon and rough coastal waters in affected areas. Now for a traffic update. Light traffic is reported at Balintawak Toll Plaza, Bocaue Toll Plaza, Pulilan northbound exit, and southbound San Fernando northbound and southbound lanes, while an approximately 100-meter vehicle queue is being monitored approaching Mindanao Toll Plaza, and a 300-meter traffic buildup is observed at Meycauayan River Bridge northbound due to safety repair works occupying the rightmost lane. The NLEX connector Magsaysay entry ramp is closed for maintenance and enhancements works from February 12, 7 a.m. to February 19, 7 a.m. Meanwhile, Pulilan southbound exit remains temporarily closed for road enhancement works at Pulilan Interchange from February 8 to February 13th. Motorists are advised to take alternate routes. All other areas of NLEX, SOTEX, and NLEX connector, including toll plazas and interchanges, are experiencing light traffic conditions. Now let's move on to this morning's headlines. The DFA warned that China's move declaring 16 Kalayaan Palawan officials persona non grata could strain Manila-Beijing relations. The action followed Kalayaan's ban on Chinese Ambassador Jing Quan for alleged interference in Philippine affairs. The DFA urged Beijing to respond calmly and maintain constructive dialogue, emphasizing respect for diplomatic protocols. The tensions coincide with Senate criticisms of Chinese officials and diplomatic protests over the West Philippine Sea disputes. Despite the 2016 arbitral ruling invalidating China's expansive claims, Beijing continues to assert a jurisdiction over the contested waters. Fish convicted. It's been 200 days since President Marcos Jr. scolded officials and contractors over anomalous flood control projects, yet no major figures have been convicted. Only former Senator Ramon Bong Revilla Jr. and a few public works officials have been arrested, while other implicated lawmakers, cabinet members, and top contractors remain free. Investigations by the ICI and the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee are nearly complete, but decisive action is still pending. The scandal has cost around 100,000 construction jobs, delayed projects, and slowed growth, even as Malacanang pushes for economic recovery and expanded the 2026 infrastructure spending. Now, House lawmakers, led by Assistant Minority Leader Sara Ilago and the Makabayan Bloc, filed House Resolution number 762 to investigate alleged Philippine-based operations connected to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The resolution cites Epstein files emails showing local individuals and firms may have been hired for digital work and reputation management to improve Epstein's public image after his initial conviction. Lawmakers stress that any Philippine involvement in shielding or assisting an international sex offender requires thorough scrutiny. Now, human rights groups and religious leaders announced protests and summits marking the 40th anniversary of the 1986 EDSA People Power Revolution, connecting the historic uprising to the day's anti-corruption efforts. The third trillion peso march is scheduled for the 25th of February, following similar rallies last year. Events include a youth congress at Miriam College with 200 student leaders and activities linked to the ICC proceedings on former President Duterte. Organizers highlighted the anniversary's led timing as a call for reflection on personal and systemic corruption, urging civic responsibility and President Marcos Jr. to focus on serving the Filipino people. Now, the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee will not recommend a preliminary investigation of former Speaker and later Representative Martin Romualdez in the flood control controversy, citing insufficient evidence. Chair Panfilo Lacson said the panel will continue fact-finding, including financial scrutiny, and may revise Romualdez's status if corroborating evidence emerges. Allegations hinge on witness Orly Gutesa, who claims to have delivered cash to Romualdez, a claim he denies. Meanwhile, the Sandigan Bayan rejected former Senator Ramon Revilla Jr.'s motion to recuse Justice Carl Miranda in his flood control malversation case. Pag-ibig Fund members set a record in 2025, saving 160.41 billion pesos, a 21% increase, led largely by voluntary contributions through the modified Pag-ibig and P2 savings program. Mandatory contributions totaled to 66.8 billion pesos, but voluntary savings drove growth, reflecting strong public trust. The agency's funds support low-interest housing loans under the expanded Pambansang Pabahay para sa Pilipino program, including the Bukawe-Bulacan Manor project. Over the past decade, Pag-ibig's growth has strengthened its capacity to provide homes and benefits, assisting nearly 400,000 families so far, with plans to house 730,000 families by 2028. Now, U.S. pop star Britney Spears has sold the rights to her music catalog, including hits like Baby One More Time and Oops, I Did It Again, in a deal reportedly worth around $200 million. The catalog was acquired by music publisher Primary Wave, which also manages works by Whitney Houston, Bob Marley, and Prince. Spears joins artists like Justin Bieber, Shakira, and Bob Dylan in monetizing their catalogs, generating revenue from streaming, broadcasts, and licensing. The 44-year-old singer largely stepped back from music following the 2021 end of her conservatorship. Now, Filipina tennis star Alex Ayala is set to fall from her career-best WTA ranking of number 40 to number 43 after a first-round loss to Teresa Valentova at the Qatar Open. The 20-year-old Rafael Nadal Academy alumna is resting ahead of the Dubai Tennis Championships on the 15th of February, her final Middle East event before debuting at the BNP Paribas Open in the US on the 4th of March. Ayala will also compete in the Miami Open, where she reached last year's semi-finals, facing tougher competition and higher expectations this season. Now a quick look at today's horoscope. Today calls for steadiness and support Cancer. The moon favors your sign, bringing calm and helpful energy to your day. Focus on assisting others and tending to responsibilities with patience. This steady approach will make tasks easier and interactions smoother, allowing you to navigate the day with balance and grace. Now, did you know that on February 12, 1809, Abraham Lincoln, the future 16th President of the United States, was born in Hodgenville, Kentucky? Lincoln grew up in a poor family, largely self-educated, and worked as a shopkeeper, postmaster, and surveyor before entering politics. Known as the Great Emancipator, he led the U.S. through the Civil War, issued the Emancipation Proclamation, and preserved the Union. Lincoln was also the tallest president at 6'4", a skilled wrestler, and loved animals. Despite personal struggles with depression, his humor and leadership left an enduring legacy. He was assassinated on April 14, 1865, and his beloved horse Old Bob joined his funeral procession. Now, this morning's viral comes from an Instagram reel that has racked up 400,000 views, and it's about to take your coffee order to a whole new level. So how do you order a Spanish latte? Well, this guy probably knows. Let's watch this.
Ako nung yung latte na may condensed milk. Spanish? Perdón. Un café, por favor, con leche condensada. Pequeño, mediano, grande? Pequeño, por favor. Para aquí, para aquí. ¿Cuál es su nombre? Es Carlos. Carlos, perfecto. Muchas gracias. Hi, hello.
That's all for now, mga ka-Tribu. Join us again at 1 o'clock p.m. for more updates. This has been Eliana Lacap for Tribune News on Q.